It's been a rainy day today, but the rain has finally let up just a little bit, and I wanted to take the drone out for a quick spin. I've been wanting to do like a little mini review of the drone. Since I've been flying it, I've learned a lot about it, and it's been a lot of fun. So this is the drone I've been flying. This is the Parrot Bebop. It's the first generation. They have now the newer version, which is the Parrot Bebop 2. This is the old one that you can pick up on eBay for like under 200 bucks. It's a great deal. Steal of a drone. Replaceable battery. Camera in the front is a fisheye lens, so it takes pictures in a fisheye, or it takes video. It crops a high definition video out of that fisheye, so it's able to kind of digitally stabilize the image. It doesn't have a fancy 3-axis gimbal like some of the other high-end drones, which means no moving parts. It's not as easy to break, but at the same time the stabilization isn't as good either. There's only one button on the back. Basically you're just going to turn that on, wait for it to boot up. You can hear the fans kick in. You can see it test the motors out. It sort of checks everything as it goes. Alright, now once it does that little self-check, the way you connect to the drone, this drone actually sets up a Wi-Fi hotspot. And you go on your phone or tablet and select that hotspot. You connect to that hotspot with your phone, and that allows you to then use the app. And from the app, you control the drone. It's a pretty ingenious system, actually. You can see that the app has a lot of information. You can actually transfer files over Wi-Fi from the drone to the phone if you want to, but it's much faster if you plug it in with a USB cable and connect it to the computer. But just to give you an idea how this works, you can see a heads-up display on the phone. All of this is amazing. I mean, the technology is fantastic. It's incredible that they can even do this. Now, granted, this is the only drone that I've ever flown. It's really all the experience that I've had with the drone is with this Parrot Bebop drone, but it's been a great experience, and I'm loving it. There are some limitations, and some of them have to do with the fact that you're using Wi-Fi to connect. You're going to get the best performance if you have a direct line of sight. You use the automatic takeoff button, and you can see it lifts itself off. I like to kind of get a feel for how squirrely it's going to be. If it starts drifting and freaking out right away when it takes off, you should just land it and start over. Maybe even recalibrate it, but at this point, it's looking solid. So you see there's two controllers on either side. As soon as you lift off, it starts recording the video, which is great. And then you can use these controllers here to adjust it. Right now I'm taking it up vertically, and I'm going to fly it out over this foggy terrain. And what I want to show you today, which I think is kind of interesting, is what happens when it cuts out. So right now the drone is still flying up. I'm going to start pushing it forward. It looks like we're up over the treetops now, so I'm going to start heading out. That's one thing that's also very important. You want to make sure you clear those treetops because you don't want to crash into a tree. You may not be able to recover the drone if you do. Now it's flying out. I can still see it pretty clearly in my line of sight here. Now I'm about to lose it. It's kind of going behind a tree, and you'll notice the video starts to get real squirrely. We are actually losing the Wi-Fi connection as we speak. It's sort of coming and going here. But what happens when you lose it altogether, when you either exceed the range or you no longer have a line of sight on the drone, is you'll see this screen. The drone will actually just disconnect altogether. And when you see that, it automatically initiates a return home sequence. So the drone is going to try to come back home. This is another thing that I've learned in this process. It's very important that you try to launch in an area that's as clear of obstacles as possible, because if you launch right next to a tree, when the drone attempts to return home, it may not come back to exactly the same place where you launched it. And I have got it, and it's stuck in a tree that way. It tried to land where it thought it remembered where we took off from, but it ended up landing itself in a tree. It's actually doing a pretty good job of finding its way home. It made its way all the way back here. It has reconnected with the app, and so at this point we can either just let it land itself, or we can take back over with the controller. I'm going to bring it down a little bit and maybe spin it around so it's facing us a little more. And I'd like to take a picture of us with the drone so you can see what the fisheye looks like. Alright, here we go. Come on in. Aha, there we are. Another thing you can do is really cool is pan the video up and down. So by swiping with two fingers, you can sort of go up and down like that. Now I don't want to bring it too close to us because I don't want to crash it into us, but I do want to get a little bit closer so we can see. You get a better point of view here. All right, I'm gonna try to take a picture here. And that's it. Just took a picture. Very simple. You just press the photo button, and even while it's recording video, it can capture a picture. Starting to feel the wind off that thing. All right, let's land it. When you want to land it, it's very simple. Make sure it's clear, bring it down, and then press the auto landing feature. It does a beautiful job. It automatically stops the recording at that point. And you can manually start and stop the recording yourself if you want to. You don't need to let it just keep running all the time. So if you know you're going to be going over some boring terrain, you're not quite ready to start recording and you don't want to waste the space, just hit the stop button and remember to start again when you want to start recording. My overall verdict is that this drone is a gem and an absolute steal. For the money, it gives you an incredible amount of bang for your buck. The flight times are pretty decent considering. The propellers are pretty easy to change. Like I said, it doesn't have a whole lot of moving parts, so it's very sturdy, and that means it can take a beating. I've crashed this one a lot. Unfortunately, I did actually crash it into the ground at one point and got a pretty good nick on the front element of the lens. And that unfortunately shows up in some of the videos now. The digital stabilization does a pretty good job, but it doesn't do a great job, especially when it's really windy out. You'll notice when the drone is really fighting for stability and it gets real windy, it has too much vibration and ends up making the video look very low quality. You can also bump into the edges of the fisheye lens and get some sort of like letterbox bars coming into your image. Overall, these are all pretty minor points. It does a really good job for what it is. As a first drone, I would definitely recommend it.